we are back, where Candi is going to regale us with fundamentalist stuff.
So I, for, legitimate reasons, have a lot of time on my hands. Like a lot of time on my hands. And I wake up at night quite a bit because, it stings a little bit. And so there's nothing to do because I'm the only one awake. And, Anyway, I've been obsessed with this YouTube channel called Fundy Fridays, right? And she discusses, and her husband as well, discuss fundamentalist families like the Quiverful families and other, like the FLDS, which is the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, like the polygamist ones, and different sects throughout SECTSs.
For
Those.
a second, it got way more interesting. And we're back.
And we're back.
I was like, wait, what? Sex? Can't talk about
Yeah. The different little groups they're in. Okay. And it's fascinating because there are so many of them. There's one family in the United States, and there's something like 19 kids or whatever. I mean, it's like one of those ridiculous amounts of kids, and every single one of them has blonde hair and blue eyes, and they can either sing or play an instrument or both. So the family, like the mother and father, act like they're like these super religious people. Not so much. You almost never see the mother doing like any actual parenting or housework. You mostly see her pitting the kids against one another. Yeah, it's really sad. And the dad is just like, well, the household is the woman's responsibility.
I think I just sprang.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're friends with the Duggars, like the 19 kids and counting people. And there was like an episode on the show where they were working on getting an addition done for their house. And it made me angry because, one, okay, it's fine to get help from the state, whatever. Like our government should be helping people, period, as it is, full stop. But it's unbelievably irresponsible to have all of these children when you know you can't take care of them. When you don't have the money, you can't afford to have that many children. And so these kids, this one family, the kids have to work and they have to pay rent to their parents for their house. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They don't have kids, they've got tenants.
Well, and that's the other thing is the parenting or lack thereof. They have like this system where there's an older kid and they're assigned a younger kid. So they're buddies or whatever. So that means that essentially the older girl, because it's usually a girl, is responsible for younger children, as in like all the responsibilities of a mother, basically. She feeds them, she bathes them, she diapers them. And most of these kids are homeschooled. So they're trying to do their stuff for school and raise a child. And they have to cook and clean and do chores. Yeah. And they're like 10. And so they're raised, this is what they know of life. They think they're like, oh yeah, we choose it. It's a great way of life. It makes us so happy. Honey, does it?
They don't know that it would.
They don't know because a lot of them don't have TV.
Uh,
They don't read books. Like, they don't see anything. They don't go anywhere or do anything. This one family, the performers, they go and they perform in these churches, but they don't like hang out with the congregation and make friends or whatever. They like stay in their van or whatever they show up in until it's time to go on stage. They go on stage and they leave. There's one kid that left the family and married actually another homeschooled fundamentalist girl, but they were less strict. And he is just now, for the first time in his life, having friends of his own age.
wow.
Because these kids didn't have any friends besides the other kids in the family.
That's
It's awful. I can't imagine what that would do to your brain.
well, I mean, I can appreciate because I mean, like I grew up in rural northeastern PA with my cousins and stuff, so we had each other, but we went to school. Like, we got out of the family and went places in public and interacted.
Well,
Like,
and your parents wanted better for you than what they had. They were working toward giving you a better life, not the same life.
right.
Our situations were completely different. Yeah, did I work during high school? Sure. Did I give my mom and dad money? Sure. But that's just because it was the right thing. Like, my mom didn't pit my sister and I against each other.
Yeah, no.
Um, she
That's
didn't she didn't belittle me and make me feel like a horrible human being because I had ideas. Like,
that's like some mommy dearest level crazy.
and there's so many families like this. They're all over the United States, all over.
That's so sad.
hmm And it's not just the United States where they're like this. There's families like this in New Zealand. A lot of these families with the polygamists go to like Central America.
That's a shame.
It is. It is. I mean, you think about how far we've come as like Americans and whatever. And then there's these other women that are like still living in the 1500s where their father's talking about how the daughter and her purity is his responsibility to guard and mold and guide until he gives her away, and her husband, the dude, literally used the words, takes ownership of her.
Are they trading some goats in with their that sale too? Like,
Right? Some goats, a cow,
yeah.
Yeah.
When we were kids, our grandmother used to always get these like planners, like these calendar planners from Virginia Slims.
hmm
And I always remember like the cartoon, like not the cartoons, but the pictures in them. And it was always like, women dressed up like the 1920s, 1930s, etc. And they're like scrubbing out stuff and all that. And the the idea being that they've come a long way since then.
hmm
I'm like, but have we? Like as an
Right.
adult now, I'm kind of like, oh, it was funny when I was a kid because I didn't know any better.
The you've come a long way, baby ad. Yeah.
Like,
hmm
did we though? Did we?
hmm Have we really?
Yeah, like I don't need my period products giving me a pep talk. Like,
Yeah.
have we really come a long way? Or are we just being patronized at this point?
It's the internalized misogyny for me.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird.
And you don't realize, like, you and I are relatively like independent, free thinkers as far as femininity goes and what it means to be a woman and how it is to move through the world as a woman. And I still find myself like thinking something and then I'm like, no, that's not right. No.
yeah, I do that a lot because
Mm-hmm.
internally I'm not just female. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've got this like part of my brain that's just like, suck it up, buttercup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, no, no, we're not going there.
Right.
But yeah, it's not easy because that that side of me is, it's been there like my entire life.
Right. And just to clarify that, it's not like a separate personality that we're talking about. It's a whole aspect of herself that is essentially herself, but is a more masculine herself than the feminine herself that she presents as for the most part.
Usually.
Oh, yeah.
Although I will say men's suits are far more comfortable than women's clothing.
Right. And there's pockets everywhere.
Almost more pockets than I know what to do with.
I know, right?
Almost.
Almost.
Almost. But but yeah, it's really hard too because our society is so it's so and or. Like, you know, it's like you are either this or you're that. You can't be both. There's no gray area. There's no middle
Mm-hmm.
ground. And it's gotten worse over the last 4 years because reasons. Um,
Well, because
because
white heteronormativity was the way.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, now we're so polarized as a society. It's like, well, it's gotten to the point where it's like, well, if you're religious, then you must be bad. And it's like, well, no. There's good and bad in religion. There's good and bad in every community, and you know, we need to recognize that there can be both.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes all of the above, more than just two things.
And sometimes there are religious people that are really, really good, and it's because of their faith.
Right. Exactly. And sometimes there's people that are absolutely non-spiritual, non-religious atheists that are perfectly awesome people who
Mm-hmm.
do it because it's the
It's the right thing. Mm-hmm.
it's it makes them, you know, they like to be a better person. So, you know, just because they're atheist doesn't mean they're bad. Um, just because they're religious doesn't mean they're good.
Exactly.
So I think we need to reevaluate as a society what we place into these buckets. And can we just get rid of the buckets? Like, enough already.
I don't, well, like we've had this conversation. I don't like labels.
Yeah.
I don't like to like be labeled, oh, well, you're like into punk, so you must be punk, or wait, you're into goth music and goth stuff, so you must be goth, or wait, you like some country songs. No, you know what? I'm hard to define as what I am. If there's any definition, it's the one that you and Matt have for me, and that's a goat head.
I'm a fish brain.
Mm-hmm.
I I am a head in the clouds, absolute fish brain, and everything in between.
And may you never change. But
It'd
yeah, like
be weird if I became a responsible grown up.
I'd have to worry, like, really, did CERN blow up the freaking universe? Because that, like, what are the chances of that timeline?
I don't know. I'd probably be a politician.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, for people like us where, you know, outwardly we look like women,
Hmm.
it's all over the place,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, because I do tend to, I have some very masculine characteristics. Very assertive. I can be quite forceful. Yeah, you like it. um, you know, it's just, yeah, I have a lot of, and it's not even male traits. It's what society sees
Yeah.
as male traits. Because obviously, if you're assertive and you know what you want and you can speak out and be commanding, that's obviously men. I mean, come on.
Obviously.
Women don't do that. They're meek and mild and
Yeah, I really I'm looking forward to the next generations to come because it's it's starting to finally shake out a little bit where music is not a defining personality thing. They can like all kinds of music, all kinds of genres of music. You don't have to just like one. And I find that refreshing because I like all kinds of genres of music, even though, I like goth. I feel goth, but old school goth. When
right.
it was punk, it was new wave, it was metal, it was industrial, it was all
Exactly.
crammed.
It encompassed all of it because it wasn't about the label, it was about
Right,
the way you lived your life.
right. And
And it
see,
was basically about saying fuck you to the man. But
ultimately,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was a rebellion thing,
Hmm.
and not giving a shit really, like, makeup. Here's my eyeliner, here's my lipstick, and I'm ready to go.
Or being extremely elaborate with it.
Yeah, and it's so
There
weird.
was no in between.
Well, now I'm seeing that it's gone more elaborate, like way
Hmm.
elaborate, and I'm just like, I got no time for that. 'Cause this is I would go to the club like this at this point. I
Yeah,
don't feel a need to get dressed up anymore. Maybe when I was
yeah, that's
time, but I might
I
throw
mean,
eyeliner and some lipstick, but that's about it.
hmm I probably wouldn't go in my owl jammies. Well, maybe I would.
Yeah, I'm like, why not?
Maybe I would. But yeah, no, I hear you because I'm also a parent,
Yeah,
and that changes a lot about what is important.
yeah,
At
and
least it did for me.
not only that, but as a parent, it's important to me to let my kid do his thing,
Yep.
whatever that may be, regardless of how I may feel about it, one way or another.
Hmm.
Like, for the most part, my son's been, I mean, he's an awesome kid to begin with. He's funny as hell. He's exploring his masculine side, I guess,
Hmm.
where he thinks farts are funny,
Parts are funny.
unfortunately.
The more aggressive, the better,
Oh my
obviously.
god, he sits there, he'll like lean over to the side, let one rip, and then look at me. Oh, you got to see this. You got to see it. No, he goes. So he does this like Hannibal Lecter thing after, and
Well,
I'm just like, okay, that makes it funny. But
and you taught him that, so
I didn't teach him the Hannibal Lecter.
then where did he learn it?
He learned it off of Gumball. There's an episode with a turtle, and it's this nasty turtle, and it like bites everybody, and it's chasing everybody, and everybody's like screaming and running from it. And finally, they catch it in this like little glass bowl, and they're like, okay, we got it. And somebody's like, how long do turtles live? And they're like, oh, like 130 years. And all of a sudden, out of the glass bowl, the turtle looks out at the camera and goes, and so I thought that was hysterical. My son thought that was hysterical, but for the wrong reasons. Um, so I showed him the very shortened clip of Silence of the Lambs
Oh,
because
you didn't show him the whole part?
I did not show him the walk through the cell block because wow, no.
Yeah.
So it's literally just Jodie Foster, and Hannibal Lecter, and he tells her that a what was it the I can't remember the word. Totally just forgot the word.
The murderer?
Census. A census guy tried to test him once or something, and he he ate his liver with fava
With
beans.
fava beans and nice Chianti, yeah.
like that. And my son was just like, oh my God, he did the turtle thing. I'm like, no, the turtle did a Hannibal Lecter thing.
The turtle thing. Nice.
So yeah, that was it. That was the most he saw of that scene, because sometimes you got to be a responsible parent and not let him watch the entire movie.
Yeah.
That's a pretty brutal movie, especially like from a
It
90
is.
point.
It
Like
is.
Ghostbusters was a little.
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters is about the furthest I'll go with it, where I'll like, yeah, go watch Ghostbusters. That's fun
Mm-hmm.
because it's Ghostbusters.
Well, I mean, and he's still a little kid.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, he's tall, but he is still a little kid.
Yeah, and I mean that's been an issue that we have, is people assume that he's older because he's so tall and because he's so big and he's got a really advanced vocabulary, but underneath it all, he's still a 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, get it back in the 9-year-old body.
Mm-hmm.
But and you know, he hangs out with adults all the time. So he's like me in that, where, you know, he gets along, I mean, he does get along great with like pretty much everybody. I only got along with adults. I could not relate to kids at all. Yeah, I was like, kids.
Humanity. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, I'm gonna hang out with my cat now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he's a cool kid. He, you know, he had a point where he wanted long hair, and you know, he wanted to play dress up and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, sure. So the filters, actually, the Snapchat filters were awesome for that.
They are great.
Yeah, because he just like sits there and he's like, you know, and, like stares at, you know,
Mm-hmm.
pretty him.
Yeah,
I mean, he is a pretty kid to begin with. Like,
he is. He's a beautiful child.
yes, and he is just totally adorable and fun.
Yeah.
Charming. He's got the charm. Holy crap, does he have the charm? He could convince people to do the craziest, stupidest stuff. I'm sure of it.
Wonder where he gets that.
I don't know. It's a gift.
Morgan has that. Morgan has, like, I don't know, she moves through the world and everybody just does what she wants. Like, she doesn't ever like throw a fit about it or anything. It's just like she'll mention to her grandfather, man, I should have packed a lunch. Um, and the next thing you know, he's delivering lunch to her at school.
Yep.
But she doesn't say it so that he'll bring her lunch. She's just like, damn, I should have packed a lunch.
Yeah, but now she
She's
knows
not,
to bring her lunch, so there's that.
but she still doesn't like, because she notices that people just kind of do what she wants. So there was a time where she was like, I wonder how much I can get them to do. And I always just told her no, because somebody needed to. You know, Bill would get her whatever she wanted, you know. And well, because she asked nicely, she was appreciative, she was respectful. Like, it's easy to want to do stuff for her. But I had to tell her no, because somebody needed to tell her no, just for the principle of her hearing no once in a while.
It's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
It's a very good lesson. But yeah, I mean, my son, we tell him no because some of the stuff he asks for is just ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, other than that, he doesn't hear it often. And most of his requests are reasonable. Most of them.
Okay, what's one that wasn't? Because that sounds like there's a story.
I'm trying to think. What did he want to do? He wanted to go out and play, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, no,
Okay.
you're not going out. And it was snowing and it was freezing. And, you know, Ty had spent the entire day shoveling and he was exhausted. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go out there with him because I have no snow clothes at all. And so we told him no. And he threw a fit. And we said, well, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he went up to his room and spent about a half hour yelling at himself.
No.
That's what he does. Like if he gets in trouble for something, like because he gets attitude, and it's the whole.
No, I'm just picturing you standing over here. Oh God, I can't believe she told me no. Well, of course she told you no. You were being rude.
Oh,
Going back and forth.
he did some. I forget what he did. I think it was when he dropped his iPad and broke it, and he went upstairs because he was just flipping out about it.
Aw.
And really really upset, and I was just like, yeah, well, you broke it.
Stuff happens.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's it. I was like, you're gonna have to just deal with a broken iPad then. And he went upstairs and was just sobbing and screaming and yelling at himself, and he's like, why did you drop it? They always tell you to close the cover and you dropped it. And I was like,
So he really does do that.
does. He like yells at himself, and we joked around when he was little because we call him the self-punishing toddler. Every time he got in trouble, he'd go upstairs into his room, shut the door, and start yelling at himself. And he put himself in timeout. We never had to tell him to do it.
Like a little Roomba of punishment.
And I don't even know where he got it from, because it's not like we never.
Susie, did you remember to switch the baby on? I'm gonna do some work from home.
Well, I mean, like we had the baby monitor up there, so it was on. Like we just would leave it on because we knew that at some point during the day he was going to go up into his room, and so we
yelled at himself
from downstairs, and
Mm-hmm.
we're literally watching him, little toddler him, walking around the room babbling to himself and hands going and everything. It's like, what is happening up there? But it's like he'll start getting like, even now he'll start getting all like antsy, and he'll start yelling back at Ty, and I just look at him and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I was like, slow your roll there, bud. And he's just like, well, he started. And I'm like, it's like, I'm not listening. I'm not listening to this because your tone is not the tone of a conducive conversation.
And also, that's your father.
Yeah.
He can start whatever he wants.
That's
You know what I mean.
That's a topic for another video.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, a lot of times Ty acts like my son's a younger sibling, and so he messes with him like he's a younger sibling. And then Brian always falls for it. And and the same, and Brian sometimes treats him like an older sibling and will sit there pressing the buttons. And I'm just like, oh my god, the two of you are in timeout right now. Like, one of you get to the basement, one of you get upstairs. We're done. You're separated.
I wouldn't know anything about that kind of behavior.
Yeah. So like I'll be in the middle, and I'll look at my son and I'll just be like, I'm just like, no, we're not having this conversation until you calm the hell down. I was like, I've had it. And all of a sudden he's just like, well, I was like, settle. And he just throws his hands up in the air and goes stomping upstairs and slams the door and sits there yelling at himself for like an hour. And I'll give it a minute, I'll be like, okay. And then he's crying, he's yelling, he's screaming. I'm like, okay, give it about 5 minutes. And I go up there, I'm like, you done? He's like, no. And I was like, okay, I'll see you later. He's like, no, come back. Wait, don't go. I need an audience.
Yeah. I need an adult.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, he is the self-punishing child. More than we punish him. Because
yeah,
for the most part, he's a great kid. And
he is a great kid. He really is.
he is. And out in public, he doesn't do half this shit.
They don't. They typically don't. They save it for their parents at home.
Yeah. So I'm just like, nope, I'm not doing it. And he started some stuff with me the other day, and I just looked at him and I was like, you sure you want to go down that road? And he was like, well, and I was like, I will unbirth you. And he's like, what? And I was
Huh?
like, that threw him for a loop. He's like, what does that even mean? He goes, how can you unbirth me? And so he decided to interpret it as I would give him away. And so he was trying to be like, oh, well, if you just give me away, then maybe I'll just like my other parents better. I'm like, maybe you will, but maybe we'll trade up and get a better son. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And that's like, I guess they'll get all your stuff too.
Ty messes with them like a younger sibling.
After he saw Coraline, he kept telling me how he was going to go live with the other mother because I hadn't let him watch past the part where the other mother turns into the big giant metal spider with the scissor hand.
Right.
And he was all like, well, I'm going to go live with the other mother. I was like, she's going to sew buttons on your eyes, right? And he's like, what? I'm like, what?
That's funny.
So, yeah, I was like, I think maybe you need to watch the whole movie before you decide you need to live with the other mother. And he's just like,
You may want to research that a little more thoroughly, buddy.
I was like, your view is limited.
Mm-hmm.
And so we watched the rest of the movie one day, and I was like, you want to go live with the other mother? I was like, then you're going to watch the rest of the movie so you find out what you're moving in with. And he watched the rest of the movie and had nightmares for like a week. I was like, do you still want to live with the other mother? He's like, no. I was like, yeah, I bet not. I was like, I'll tell you what, I promise not to stitch buttons on your eyes if you promise to not be such a little turd sometimes.
Such a filter. That's funny.
Parenting with Candi and Susie.
We got skills.
Mad skills. Mad skills that my son will probably be talking to his therapist for years.
Yeah. It's the goth mom way.
Oh my gosh, he's a little old man. He's 90 going on 9.
Yeah, he needs a little cardigan.
He's got one. He's got an ugly sweater.
Mm-hmm.
And he wears it.
I'm thinking of like a little tweed cardigan with the patches on the elbows. It'd be so cute.
It would be. He'd wear it. He totally would wear it.
Would he wear it?
Oh yeah, he's starting to appreciate sweaters.
What size is he again?
He's like my size now. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever size I am now, medium, women's medium. So what would that translate to in men's? Men's small. So like boys XL.
Okay.
Or XXL in boys.
Men's small. Okay, got
it. And on that note, I think we've completed another video.
Yeah, and my meds are starting to kick in, so I need to take a break for a little bit.
Oozing.
Well, no, I will be soon, though.
Finish chewing whatever you got in your mouth before you go to sleep. We will see you guys next time.
Yes, bye.